Well, welcome back to Cigar Time, your ever so friendly show all about premium cigars. Welcome back, gang.
Thank you.
Hello
Thanks.
there.
Thanks for having us back, Wink.
Link?
Wink Martindale?
Martindale.
Oh.
Thanks for having me, Wink.
Oh, but I think most of our audience probably doesn't remember who that
I
is.
know.
I thought you said Link,
No,
and I thought you were comparing him to Lincoln Hayes.
Lincoln Hayes.
Lincoln
He just died.
He just died.
Just
Thank
died.
you, I'm still alive.
June 4th.
I'm
The
not
Mod
dead.
Squad. You don't watch the Mod Squad?
It kind of reminds me of Monty
Clarence Williams
Python.
the
I'm
third.
not dead yet.
Clarence Williams
The third.
That's right.
Okay, we'll sort of get back on cigars.
He was
If I
great.
did watch it, I wouldn't remember the
Okay.
actors' names.
Today we're going to tell you
Sure.
about the Macanudo Gold label. This is an extremely rare. It's only available once a year. Comes in a couple different sizes, which we'll talk about later. We made a heck of a deal on them, but it's the end of the run. And we're going to smoke it, rate it, and very shortly you'll be able to get it in our stores at a very nice, attractive price. Top of the line Macanudo.
You know,
It's not your grandfather's Macanudo.
I never thought we'd smoke a Macanudo on the show.
We never did?
never
I'm saying,
thought
I never
you'd
thought we
smoke
would.
Macanudo and like it.
Oh, that's.
Oh, I didn't say I liked this
Just
yet.
because you guys like stuff that burn the back of your throat and make your hair curl, doesn't mean that's for everybody's taste. We smoke them to please everybody, not
That's
just
true.
your taste. I don't necessarily love every cigar we smoke on the show, but I'm fair about it. I'd say this may not be my, type of cigar.
Well, these are expensive, so you're gonna have to be tough.
What's that?
These are expensive, so you're gonna have to be tough grader.
They're not that expensive. As things go, they're not.
Interestingly enough, this is one of the few cigars left with a true Connecticut
Mhm.
wrapper.
Mhm.
As Connecticut has produced less and less shade tobacco for wrapper, Macanudo Gold has always had access to the best of that,
Yeah.
and they always use it.
Why are they producing less?
Acreage is worth more money for
Yeah.
development than it
Yeah.
is for tobacco.
Good point. Good. That's a shame.
If you can put condos up,
Yeah.
That's a shame.
or 55 plus communities with gates, that pays way better.
Do they have like a 75 plus community? Because I'm heading in that direction.
Yeah, I think they call that assisted living.
I think I already, I don't need assisted living at this point, but I think I already blew long by the 55.
They're only short term, though.
Oh.
They're only on month to month.
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding.
Month-to-month mortgage.
I can just see our senior citizens just tuned out and are getting ready to picket you outside the store now.
It's like
Yeah, how come
the
senior
address is
citizens don't get all bent out of
1976
shape?
Easton Road.
How come, yeah, why do our seniors don't get all bent out of shape with all this junk going on?
I don't know.
Now, why can't we have like an old people's revolution? Are you allowed to say old people, or is that discriminatory?
I don't know.
I'm an old people.
Well, you're allowed.
I'm
I'm an
not.
old people.
I'm 21.
I'm a,
Yeah,
I identify as
I'm
a
a pretty
21-year-old, so.
Yeah, you're 21 on 1/3.
Well, if you can identify as a different gender, why not a different age? What's the
Sure.
difference?
You identify as a different gender?
No, it's not. It's
That's what I thought he said.
not what he
I
said.
thought he said I
I
identify.
say identify as a different age.
Pick any age you like. 39 is the most popular.
29 would be cool. Yeah, 29.
Well, sure draws you. Yeah,
27.
say that for it.
construction is
Yeah,
impatient.
still far
it
enough
is.
away from
That's
30.
It's a cold breeze. That's a Connecticut.
Well, and what you see is consistent color, matte finish, just a little bit of shine to it, very, very few visible veins.
No.
It is much more golden than the other ones.
Yeah. Did you retro hell yet?
Not yet.
And that's part of why it's expensive. There's only so much of the Connecticut crop is going to be perfect and golden.
Right.
You know, I was watching something yesterday. They said when you smoke a cigar, you should only retrohale like 2 or 3 times. It's just because the more you do it, it heats up the I forget
Olfactory.
the cilia. What are the
Cilia of
The
the lower
cilia.
hairs.
yeah? And they retract, and I guess they cover to protect themselves. They cover themselves with a mucus.
And the net result is you taste less
Yeah.
instead of more.
If you do it too often, so they're saying like do it like 2 or 3 times. I'm like I was trying to doing this video. I'm like, holy cow! Can't believe how much I retrohale. Like it was hard not to.
Really?
When you get used to it, it becomes
Yeah, I
habit.
just do it naturally all the time. So there. So,
That's interesting.
it is.
We have an announcement to make.
Oh,
Where's the drum roll? Wasn't the best.
We don't want to blow out John's eardrum.
Oh, I see. Effective Wednesday, June 30th, you'll get a full hour of cigar time on this channel, Channel 4, and whatever your channel on satellite or cable is. This channel you're watching now, well, every Wednesday night between 7 and 8 o'clock, you'll get a full hour. Half the show will be like we do now. The other half will be our outlet show, where you save a ton of money.
Deals,
Our
deals,
packs, closeouts,
Formerly known as the Saturday Show.
formerly known as the Saturday show,
Will not
will
be
now
on
be
Saturday anymore.
Wednesday.
We should still
We
call
don't
it the
quite
Saturday
know,
show, even though it's on Wednesday.
yeah, we don't know which show we'll put first, which one will be at 7,
I
which
still
one
say
will be
we call it the Saturday
7:30.
show.
But I think we'll probably do this show at 7 as a lead-in, the outlet show at 7:30. So adjust your DVRs. We've cured the problem. I know some cable or satellite had trouble setting up seasonal taping of our show, but I believe that has all been fixed now, at least on my DirecTV it has. So you can set your DVRs, VCRs, whatever you have to record the show. And remember, there's no VCRs left?
John's laughing his head.
no, Betamax.
Betamax,
Beta.
whatever you have.
Beta is much better
It's
than
high quality.
VHS.
So, a full hour every Wednesday at 7 p.m. starting Wednesday, June 30th. For those of you that are a little hard of hearing, like me, it's Wednesday, June 30th.
You know what else happens on June 30th?
What happens?
France completes their reopening. Restaurants at 100% capacity and everything.
Wow. I'm sure the people in Northeast Philadelphia are intrigued by that information.
It's exciting. Or not.
No, it's not.
I don't know.
Well, Rob, I know what you
I-
would say if we weren't on the air.
I can't top that. I don't know what to say. So remember, Wednesday,
June 30th.
Were you talking to me?
I was leaving it to you guys.
June 30th.
What? I was playing with my phone.
I know you were playing with yourself.
New day and time for
The Saturday
the Saturday show.
The formerly Saturday show will now be Wednesday, part of the 1 hour block of Cigar Time.
But still called the Saturday show.
Please tell your friends and neighbors.
That's right.
If you like the show, tell us. If you don't like the show, well, your problem.
Keep it to yourself.
Because don't let the, well, never mind. Okay, how about a little first review?
What's the blend in this cigar? Other than the Connecticut wrapper.
Yeah, I don't know if they, I looked it up, I don't know if they mentioned the binder,
Binder.
but the fillers are Dominican and Mexican. San Andres,
St. Andrews.
Andrews.
St. Andrews.
Andrews.
Mexican. Yeah, but I don't remember seeing the binder. Oh,
You know the
Sure
binder?
they have one.
I do not.
I do not
I
know
do
the
not.
binder.
You sure the binder's not Mexican?
no.
Probably.
It's
not.
probably Dominican.
Probably.
Let's see.
Although they have a lot of stuff in Honduras.
Oh, it just says a mixture of binder and filler from the Dominican and San Andres.
Okay.
Huh.
All right, should we get everybody's first
Initial
opinion?
impressions?
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you mine.
Mhm.
It's always a pleasant surprise when a Macanudo presents you with some flavor and complexity, and I think this has got a little bit of both. It's an easy smoke, it's very pleasant, but it's not bland, and it's not
No.
boring. And I actually really like this size. A little torpedo is
It's a
good
pleasant
stuff.
size, yeah. Scott?
I'm getting notes of buttered toast and coffee with cream, delivered with a touch of spice in a handful of classic Macanudo.
Sugar and spice and everything nice?
He's reading it.
No,
But how do you feel?
Oh, well, I'm all right. Well, jealous, I guess. I don't know.
Cranky?
Jealous or what?
That was the first thing that came up. I find it very buttery and creamy. I did a retrohale, one of my allowed 3, and it was. Hold on, it was. You know what? I forgot already what it was.
That's where the burnt toast taste.
You cannot
comes
make
up.
this stuff up. We do not rehearse. What you see is live in what you get.
It's like a toffee, almost like it's
There's a
something
tiny bit
very
of
sweet.
sweetness.
It's sweet, and
Mhm.
what came to mind is first I wanted to say caramel, but it wasn't quite caramel. I think it was more like a toffee-ish.
Without the crunch.
It is
Yes.
toffee. Yeah, you're correct. That's what I'm getting.
One for Scott.
I'm also getting a white pepper on the front of my tongue. It's very clean.
Zesty.
Very
Yeah,
clean,
it's nice.
and the finish is short, so your
Yeah.
mouth is clean
Yeah,
air.
Right.
yeah. It's
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that another
It-
short joke?
No.
No, it's. I find it a better cigar than the regular Macanudo Cafe.
Well,
I should hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so. It's a premium price, a premium cigar.
So
Oh.
it's a shame they only come out once a year, though.
Yeah.
I
But that
believe
keeps
the
them special.
Macanudo Gold was one of the very first step-up cigars from
From
back in the day
yeah.
when Macanudo was
Yeah,
the best-selling
yes.
cigar in America.
Yeah.
And the irony is, do they call it the Macanudo Gold label? Yes, they do. Back when I was a younger man, they had what was called Havana Clear cigars, which were mostly in the 50s and 60s. And they were made in Tampa, most of them. And one of the brands was a brand called Gold Label. And it was a mixture of, I guess, Dominican and Cuban tobacco, mostly Cuban tobacco. And it was it was a lower end cigar even back then. But I remember it was a pretty tasty cigar, and they were very inexpensive. Matter of fact, I would use the word cheap. And I've always had that memory of Gold Label cigar. You probably remember them.
Yes, I do, and it's one of the nifty things, to me at least, about the Havana Clear era,
Yeah.
is that there were a lot of inexpensive,
Mhm.
easy-to-get cigars with really good Cuban tobacco in it, because shortages were not an issue
No,
back then.
no, not that. No.
And so you could get a really tasty, virtually all Cuban cigar
Yeah.
for very little money.
That is nifty.
And that was before mass-produced cigars. I mean, they had machines back then, but not like they do today, where they. Are we getting you guys up?
We got a whole different show going on.
No, I figured that.
Just
I
make
kind
it
of-
a fall.
Is it better than this one?
Yeah, because it's better. Let's use this one.
Much better to us, at least.
It's you're a legend in your own mind.
Mm-hmm. And that's for sure. Well, speaking of Tampa and Cuba, did you guys read that the Newmans are
Yeah.
petitioning?
It won't happen. Nah.
Well, I hope it does.
Tell everybody.
It won't.
No, forget it.
Wait a
They're-
minute, how old are you again?
The
12 or 13?
Ju-
29 we established. The Newmans are petitioning the government to import Cuban tobacco because, I guess, as part of the Obama administration law, there was something in there that allowed United States companies to import products made by Cuban companies or Cuban families that weren't specifically tied to the national economy. It wasn't tied to the Cuba state-run economy. So they're saying if there's entrepreneurs or individuals, there's a law that allows them to do that.
All right, now let me tell you the real
I don't know
facts.
if there are any entrepreneurs or individuals
There are.
in the
Oh, there are.
There are.
in Cuba
No.
that don't sell through the government?
Well, let me give you the real world on this, having spent enough time in Cuba. There are a number of entrepreneurs down there. Probably the legendary one is Alejandro Rabina,
Yes.
who passed away a number of years ago. The difficulty is all tobacco by law, much like other agricultural crops, needs to go through the government. They allow a certain amount of what they call roadside sales. That's how this all started back in the 80s. The communist government allowed farmers to sell a little bit of their crops basically on the road. Tobacco was never really included in that, so therefore, to the best of my knowledge, at this point, tobacco is exclusively Habano's SA. As you know, I knew one of the, since passed away, one of the leading executives, my friend Juanito, and you could not buy raw tobacco and export it to the United States. You could export Cuban tobacco to countries such as Jamaica, because I was involved in a deal.
Maybe, I wonder if that's their angle, but.
I don't know if the Cuban government would sit still for that. I mean,
I don't know if the American government would.
Well, no, that's
support
first
it
and
either.
foremost. I don't know.
But if it's not, if there is a law it's not something that's produced by the Cuban government or tied to the Cuban government, then they should be able to do it.
Except even
Well,
if
I
they,
mean, they're trying, so
Even
Drew
if they
Newman's a
buy
lawyer.
roadside tobacco, they still have to
nah,
export
they
it from
can't.
Cuba.
You can't.
Well, you
That-
should make your case
Well,
to
wait a
Drew,
minute.
not to me.
The way that they would probably try to figure out how to do it is export the tobacco to one of their factories in Central America that they own. But the difficulty is there's still an embargo against Cuban products, except paintings and manuscripts and things like that, and limited amount of booze or cigars that you can import, and even that was stopped under the Trump administration. So I don't think there's any legal way they can do it. As far as as I understand the Trading with the Enemies Act, I don't think there's a legal way for them to do that. I could be wrong, and I mean, things may have changed.
I mean, we must be, because, I mean, Drew Newman's a lawyer, and they're doing it, so it's
I've
something they know
known
that
Drew
we
since
don't.
he was in high school. I grant you
Yeah.
that. I agree, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so
I
either.
don't think so.
I think Art's right. There's no
I
way
would
to
be-
get it. There's no way to sell it from Cuba
Yeah.
without going through the government.
Yeah.
There's another issue a little farther behind that. The Cuban government has for a long time authorized sales of some Cuban tobacco, even to Europe,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
where they buy short filler Cuban and they put it in their machine-made cigars for the
Those
European
countries don't
market.
have an embargo with Cuba.
Well, only we do.
Only we do.
Right.
But they haven't been able to do that much lately because they can't grow enough tobacco for
Well,
their own
that's the
production.
other
You're right,
problem.
exactly. That's the
I
problem.
mean,
Obama's
they're
SA
paying people-
is the state monopoly
Yeah.
for tobacco.
Right.
And I doubt seriously, remember, that is now owned 50% by the same,
Yeah.
consortium from China that own. So I mean, it gets into all kinds of confusing things, but the bottom line is, I don't think they can legally import Cuban tobacco into this country at this moment in time.
How about if, like you said, I don't know if they can get around it, bringing it through China. It's their tobacco. They can bring it to China, and we have no embargo with China.
Well,
It's a country of origin issue.
yeah, he's right. Where was it grown? It wasn't grown in China.
No.
Every time they try to
They
grow
can't-
tobacco,
yeah, they
how
can't
did that
grow
go
tobacco.
over?
And it's not legal in the United States to take Cuban tobacco and ship it to another country and then ship it here
Ship it,
as
yeah.
tobacco from that other country. And this is something that I know pretty well because I was shipping Cuban tobacco to Ecuador for a long time,
Yeah.
but I was shipping it from here.
Well, according to this article, the U.S. government has already approved and previously sale of Cuban coffee in the United
Different.
States.
You can buy Cuban coffee now.
Why is it different than tobacco?
Yeah, how's that different?
I don't know if it's controlled by the
They're
government.
both a commodity.
Well, everything is controlled by the government.
But
But I mean
that's
directly.
I
You
think
can't
that's
be-
sort of the
you can't
point
be
of the
hypocritical.
article.
No, I agree with you.
I think that's the point of the article, is that
If-
it's not buying it through the Cuban
If
government.
you see Cuban rum allowed, Havana Club rum, if you see that allowed in this country, you know tobacco's right behind it. Coffee, for some reason, I don't know why, I was kind of surprised when that happened, but as far as I know, tobacco is just not going to happen this moment. And I'll be very surprised if it does. I'm very happy if it does.
We're not getting any of it.
Well,
Like
it's
you
not
said,
about-
they can't grow it. They can't
They-
make enough.
You're right.
So
You're
it
right.
doesn't matter.
But it's
Right.
not, but
You know,
you're,
about a year
hold on,
ago, they
you're
were-
thinking that the Cuban government can't grow enough, but there are private entrepreneurs, according to the article.
But
that-
they get their, here's how, let me show you how they control them, how they control the entrepreneurs and small growers. Every bit of supplies, from fertilizer to any kind of implements, everything comes from the government. There's not an international harvester store in downtown Havana.
John Deere.
There's not an Ace Hardware store where you can go get mulch and fertilizer.
No, you can get a cow
You
and
get
it
a
can
cow. Wow.
it can
A cow and a
fertilize.
plow.
Yeah, and you can plow with it, but that's about all.
But you only have one cow, that's rather limiting the fertilization.
That's
Now, see, there's where they control, that's how communist governments work.
Yeah.
And you know, they kind of feed you, hand them out. They give you free money, free cheese, free this, free medical. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yep.
But in Cuba,
Sounds like
you
California.
depend on the government for everything. They don't allow what we consider, you know, capital, what it called, well, capitalist.
Free market.
Yeah, there's no entrepreneurs in Cuba to speak of.
You'll never have more than what the government gives you.
Will allow you, or just like China.
Allow you to have.
One way to look at it is even the entrepreneurs, the independent growers, people like Robang when he was
Yeah.
alive, even those people, the government has first refusal
Oh
on
yeah,
whatever they
everything.
grow.
Yeah, everything.
So now that's all of it, because if you take all of the independents and all of the government farms and everything else, it's not enough.
Yeah.
About a year ago, before the pandemic hit, the Cuban government was paying people to set up their backyards as micro farms just to get more tobacco.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Huh. What's that say about the quality of the cigars?
Well, you answered your own question. We all know about the quality of
Right.
cigars. That's the
Like they're
problem.
just taking any tobacco. I mean,
Well, presumably they grade it in some reasonable way, and they,
yeah, but they're
it's just access to the land and the labor.
wow.
That coast was given up 20 years ago. When they stopped, when I saw what they were doing in the factories, how fast they were rushing stuff, and not sorting through them, not putting them in the big cedar closets to age for 60 or 90 days. When they were just rushing it out to get hard currency, that was the beginning of the end.
Yep.
I've not,
Quality has never been the same.
yeah, no. In the last 20 odd years, I don't think I've smoked more than a handful of Cuban cigars that I would say, well, that kind of reminds me of the old Cuban taste. They're awful, well, I shouldn't say awful, but they're just not what they
They're
used to be.
different. I always thought they were just tasted different.
No, the old Cuban cigars,
Well, I don't know. If
certain
I don't know
lines,
if I've ever had.
certain lines were noted for certain notes. Like the Hoyo was very sweet, had like a milkshake finish. And even though people think Hoyo was a strong cigar, the Cuban one was not. Monte Cristos were a stronger line. La Gloria was a stronger line.
Boulevard.
Bolivar was a
Industrial.
stronger line. Punch was a stronger
St.
line.
Louis Ray.
But they had distinctive taste. They really, they just didn't. It's hard to explain.
I still think they have a distinctive taste. I don't necessarily think it's great.
Well, that's the problem. You hit it right on the net.
No, I honestly, whenever,
You mean that Cuban cigars taste different than other cigars, whether they're good ones or not?
yes, there's a, up front, you're gonna laugh at me, but I've been proven right about
You do that-
that time
you
and
do that
time again.
all the time.
No, you're laughing with me, not at me.
Did he
That's
say?
right.
No, we're laughing.
Did he say he was proven right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What century was it?
I don't know.
When I said, you remember, I said a cigar reminded me of new car smell. And then and you guys laughed, but I was watching this show called Som. It was a documentary about these four people who were going to be master sommeliers, the highest that you can achieve.
Right.
And they were describing describing wine,
Wine, yeah.
and they said two of them said that it smelled like fresh can of tennis balls.
Fresh can of tennis balls.
That's a
So,
pretty distinctive
Yeah.
cigar.
yes, if they can get that out of wine, I can get new car smell out of cigar.
Okay.
New cars smell out of cigars.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
What made me think of?
And these were sommeliers. These were really talented people, huh?
Best in the world.
So they say.
Yeah, I wonder how they think about a bag full
Have you
of
guys?
huge jock straps.
I was walking my dog
What
last
was I
night.
talking about?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember all of a sudden. Oh, the Cuban taste. It reminds me of soap. The beginning of a Cuban cigar reminds me of bar soap.
Bars.
Remember my mom used to wash my mouth out for.
I can see why.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, they
Well, you
they
have a
wash
very
their
clean
hands
mouth now.
often. The rollers wash their hands off.
Yeah. Don't go.
Laugh at me. Fresh can of tennis balls.
I want to hear this walking dog
Yeah,
story.
I was walking my dog last night, and I was smoking a cigar, which will be nameless. Have you guys ever?
Alcazar.
Wasn't it Alcazar? Have you guys ever smoked a cigar that reminded you or gave you the flavor of or the aroma of chicken noodle soup?
Chicken noodles.
Yes.
No.
Really?
Not me.
Have you?
No, I haven't.
I would like
Rob,
to think that I
if that's
have
what it
a
reminded
fairly
you of, then
refined
that's what the
palate, but
flavor
I've
you got.
never encountered a cigar that
Seriously,
tastes like
I'm like,
chicken.
man, I get a real distinct taste and
I
aroma
can tell
of
you-
chicken noodle soup.
I can tell you why. I can tell you why. What were you drinking right before you walked the
Nothing.
dog?
Nothing. Water.
Water. Well, water has a habit of doing it.
Did the dog lick your face right
The dog
before you
did
lit
not
the
lick my
cigar?
face.
Look, when you taste the identifying the flavors is really, it's just based on your memory of something. I mean, you can't,
It's what
if
it
you've never
evokes,
had
it's
a
not what it
star
actually
fruit, you
tastes
can't say you don't know what it tastes like.
I could
Right.
do 5 minutes with that line, but none of it would be allowed.
No, you're right. It's whatever you taste. Doesn't matter what.
But you're always, when you say it tastes like something, and you're always referencing something from your past. So it's whatever pops into my mind is what. Like
What it
sometimes
tastes
I can't identify it,
Right.
which is actually more often than not.
Okay, I think it's time to do our final review and put a number on it.
Oh, look at that.
Wow, time flies.
When you're having fun. This was fun.
Good.
I always like to hear Rob's dog walking stories.
You like to hear my dinner stories, is what you like to hear.
I don't. They're legendary.
Yeah.
That's for another show.
Very
I just use
smooth,
They're retro.
very creamy. That toffee's not there as much, but on that retro hail, I am picking up some of that white pepper that Rob mentioned. So,
You did it. Well, that lost your train of thought now.
Try to
No,
come up with it
8.8.
today sometime.
8.8.
Okay. Rob?
It's a very clean smoking cigar. I mean, and like to your point, the aftertaste, the aftertaste just dissipates very quickly. It's a very pleasant cigar. I mean, it's not very complex. It's way too mild for me. Although I do like mild cigars, like the Romeos.
Yeah, you
Mild
want the
cigar.
Romeo.
It's too mild for me, but it does have a very pleasant taste to it. I mean, I would smoke it again.
see,
If I was working,
that's why I gave it.
so I don't have to
the eight-
think about
that's
it.
why I gave it the 8.8 because I was like, you know what? I don't know if I would. It's a good cigar, but I don't know if I would go buy one and smoke it again.
Yeah, I'd have to give it an
It's worth a try.
8.75.
Well, worse than
That's
that.
close.
Nice.
Paul?
Well, maybe I'm enjoying it more than everybody else, which is surprising because I
You're the
usually
real
like
power
the
here,
heavy
yeah.
Yeah,
hitters.
yeah.
But I find this to be very pleasant,
Yeah.
and the creaminess is really a joy.
Yeah.
As far as complexity, what I found is that the caramelly, or what did you call
Toffee.
it, the toffee kind of taste receded. It was replaced a little bit by the white pepper,
Yeah.
and I give it a 9 because I'm really enjoying it.
I agree with Paul. Since we're running out of time and you won't be able to hear my comments, I will also give it a 9. And it's a good smoke. It's a nice, pleasant, mild smoke. You
It
can
is.
Smoke it any time. Don't forget, Wednesday, June 30th, a full hour starting at 7 o'clock.
Life's
Ciao
too
for
short.
now, everybody.
Smoke
Stay happy.
cigars.